Hi guys! Welcome again to Ijele Tube, where stories come with a twist of class and a dash of fun. One, let's explore like you've never seen before. Trust me, it's worth the ride. Please, be cool, Ejo. Subscribe, like, share, and turn on the notification bell. One. In the bustling heart of London, two souls met by fate in a quiet, dimly lit bookstore. Chidozie, a tall, ambitious young man from Nigeria, had been a stranger in this foreign land. Yet here, he found warmth in the eyes of Nancy, a vivacious woman with an infectious smile and roots like his. Despite the busy streets and fast-paced life around them, their hearts beat slowly, almost like the rhythm of an old Igbo song. Chidozie had lived in London for nearly a decade, while Nancy, a doctor like her parents, was only 2 years into her residency program. As their love blossomed, it became evident to both that they were not just lovers, they were each other's mirror, the water that quenches thirst and comfort of home far from home. When Chidozie proposed, it was a clear winter morning under the soft London sun. She accepted with happy tears, and together they planned their journey back to Nigeria to introduce themselves to each other's families. Upon returning to Nigeria, Chidozie took Nancy to Lagos, where her parents, Dr. Ike, resided. Chidozie's mother, Mrs. Linda, arrived in Lagos from Abuja with her brother, bringing both the love and reservations she had carried since the death of her husband 25 years ago. Linda hadn't been back to Umudo, her hometown, in those years, bearing the bitter memories of how her in-laws had treated her and her children. The introduction ceremony was held in Dr. Ike's grand Lagos home. It was a scene of joy, filled with laughter, cheer, and toasts to the future. But it wasn't long before custom intervened. "Please, Dr. Ike, may we have the marriage list?" Mrs. Linda asked, her voice both cordial and firm. Dr. Ike, ever busy, called his brother Ekene on phone. Over the phone, Ekene provided the list and reminded his brother, "This ceremony must be in the village. Imego, Igbankwu, and Imogodo are all traditions rooted in our land." But Dr. Ike shook his head. "My schedule and that of my guests will not permit it. We will hold the ceremony here in Lagos." Ekene protested, warning his brother of the consequences, but Dr. Ike brushed it aside, convinced that modern times allowed for flexibility. "I will send the equivalent funds to you, and you can buy the items and present them to the Umunna on our behalf." He had always been a man of logic, one who saw customs as bendable rules rather than pillars to live by. The ceremonies went on in Lagos as Dr. Ike wanted, blending Igbo custom with modern flair. The traditional marriage was beautiful, yet a faint unease hung over it, invisible to most. As they embarked on married life, Chidozie and Nancy felt as if they were floating on air. Their love was their fortress, shielding them from all worries and fears. However, beneath the surface, shadows lurked. After 2 years, the couple realized that their dream of a happy family remained unfulfilled. They were yet to conceive. They visited hospitals, saw specialists, and tried every remedy. Desperation led them even to unorthodox methods, but to no avail. Then came the misfortunes. Financial losses, inexplicable illnesses, and sleepless nights plagued them. One night, an elderly pastor they sought out for prayers shook his head gravely and said, "Your union is under a curse. You must return to your roots. Only there will you find answers." The both families, burdened and heavy-hearted, traveled back to their respective villages. For Dr. Ike, it was his first visit in years. The sight of his village, his people, and his homestead felt both familiar and foreign. Linda too returned to Umudo. Her heart weighed out the old grief she had buried so long ago. After several days of consultations, prayers and meetings, the Umunna, the village council of elders, called both families together. Chidozie and Nancy were seated before them, their heads bowed, eyes weary. Ekene stepped forward, his voice carrying the gravity of what was to be revealed. "We have discovered a hidden truth that should never have been concealed," he began. "Chidozie, your grandmother is from our kindred. She married outside our town and her lineage was separated, but you and Nancy are of the same bloodline." Shock rippled through the gathering. A silence fell, thick with dread and disbelief. "The bond between you two," the head of the kindred spoke, his voice trembling, "is a forbidden one. Your marriage is considered incestuous under our customs." Nancy's face drained of color, and Chidozie's hand fell from hers as the weight of their situation settled in. Tears gathered in their eyes, but the elders were unmoved. "The consequences of this marriage will be the suffering of you both and your kin if you do not cleanse this sacrilege," an elder warned. "Neglect of tradition has brought calamity upon you." To atone for their union, the Umunna imposed a ritual cleansing that required both Chidozie and Nancy to walk through the village marketplace, stripped of pride, while ancient rites were performed. Though humbling and painful, the couple was told that this was the only way to save themselves and their family from further suffering. The following day, the ritual began. Clothed in the simplest attire, heads bowed, Chidozie and Nancy walked through the market square slowly. Villagers gathered to witness, some whispering in pity, others shaking their heads. Their pride, so carefully nurtured in the diaspora, had been stripped bare, replaced by an ancestral wisdom they had neglected. As the final chants of the elders filled the air, a sudden silence fell over the market. It was as if the ancestors themselves had forgiven, but the price was heavy. Their marriage was annulled, and with it, their dreams of a shared future. Returning to Lagos, they parted ways, forever marked by the sins of neglect. Chidozie went to London. Nancy stayed behind in Abuja, and the wounds of their hearts remained a reminder. Dr. Ike was left to reflect on the emptiness of successes without connection to one's roots. Mrs. Linda mourned the bitterness she had allowed to sever her son from his family's heritage. Both families felt the weight of what they had forsaken: a shared history, unity, and the guiding hands of tradition. The story of Chidozie and Nancy echoed through the town and beyond, a tale of love tainted by disregard for customs. It became a fable, a warning to future generations. A man who forgets his roots forgets himself. In the cities, families spoke of the tragedy, urging their children to know their origins, respect their traditions, and keep the flames of their heritages alive. Did you enjoy the story? I know you did. To hear more, please subscribe, like, share, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post videos. Thank you.